Hi, this is Bryan. Today we're going to show you how to install Comfort Access from BimmerTech. So here's everything that you'll receive in the kit. You'll see you have your main control box, a couple harnesses, then you'll have the wires, and this is what's going to connect from your new handle. You can see it has the lines just like the official BMW handles. They're also going to be pre-painted to match the color of your car, so you can see that it matches excellent. You're going to have your antenna, and then with these cables you'll notice that some of them have a female plug and then some have a male. If you had a chance to watch our soft close video, you'll notice that we went into the harness that's on the outside of the vehicle and then we went onto the inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to insert the pins and the plugs on the one side and then the corresponding pins and plugs on the other side so that everything lines up. So let's get started. Whenever you're working on any electrical components, you always want to make sure that you begin by removing the negative terminal of the battery. Just go ahead and pop that off. Just bend it down and set it to the side. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to start high and low. So go ahead and grab your main harness, and on your main harness there's going to be a wire with a connection that looks like this, and we're going to need this to start. So go ahead and grab your favorite trim tool. For this part right here I like to use the larger BimmerTech. Just go ahead and gently slide your trim tool in here and then just pry down, and then this will pop right off. Okay, so once you've done that, there's a hole right here and there's a hole right here. What you want to do is you want to take this Bimmer tool that has kind of a little point on it. There's a metal tab, so you want to just go ahead and pull that tab over, and then with another trim tool just go in and release that. So on the other side, you shouldn't need to use two tools with the other side. And what you want to do is go ahead and twist this sideways. There's a connection right here on the end. So in the US it's on the passenger side. Just go ahead and slide your trim tool in here and release this plug. And you can just let that hang for just 1 second. Now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and take this connection, and again just very, very gently just pry down your headliner. And you want to go ahead and slide this up. Through this area right here, you want to just go ahead and grab that. It's a little bit tight, but it's not too bad. Okay, so just guide all your wires through there. And then on the side here where we remove this plug, what you want to do is go ahead and plug in the new connection here. And then just take this connection. Go ahead and make sure everything clicks in place. This side is going to be a little tight, not too bad. You can just go ahead and pull all that out of the way. What you want to do is you're going to slide the front in first. Then you'll be able to pop everything back in place. Just take your trim, just press that back up, and then we're ready to keep going. Alright, so now what you want to do is just go ahead and take these wires and just go ahead and continue to tuck them in here. Once you get to this point, what you want to do is just go ahead and pry this open just a little bit, and then you'll be able to sneak these wires in here. With the trim on the outside of the car, what you can do, just go from the underneath. Alright, so just continue to tuck these in here. And then what you can do is just lift this up. You can just go around. Alright, so once you get to here, what you can do is you can go ahead and just pull the molding down. And this is going to make it a lot easier to actually make sure that you're feeding the wires behind here. So just go ahead and tuck these up and then replace the trim as you go. Making sure that everything is out of the way. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to remove this piece of trim over here, and then also this piece over here. Where we need to be working is actually behind here. So go ahead and start right here. Just reach your hand under. Just go ahead and lift this up. When you're working on this, a lot of times you can see 3 out of 4 of the fasteners stayed in the car, they got stuck. So you just take a trim tool or some pliers, just go ahead and pop those out. This is what they look like. And then what you can do is just go ahead and slide these in to the channel like that, and then you can just take it and then go ahead and pop it back in. Now for this other piece, what you could do is just go ahead and just pull it straight out, and then we'll move this out of the way. And then from here, there's going to be two 10mm bolts. There's one right about here, and then one right under here. Okay, so go ahead, remove the two 10mm bolts. Nuts. One over this way. There's one right over here. Okay, so once you do that, you can just go ahead and take a trim tool, just pop this down. There are just two connections. One is this 12 volt over here, and then the other is just a light, so just go ahead and disconnect that. And then all right, so now what we need to do is we need to remove the two T20 screws. So there's one right here, and there's one right here. So go ahead and remove this one. Once you loosen this one up, you can go ahead and just slide this piece of plastic up. Just make sure that you remove the clip from the one side. Just pull that out of the way. Go ahead right in the middle here. Remove this T20 screw. This one's quite long, so just go ahead and set that out of the way as well. Okay, so once you're down here, you're going to see on your main harness there's a black connection, which is a little bit smaller, and then there's a white connection, which is a little bit larger. What you need to do is in here you're going to have a blue, a black, and a white connection. Go ahead on the black one that's in the middle. Go ahead and push on that tab and pull up and just release that. And then under that one, there's a white connection. This one, what you want to do is actually move this whole panel over, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult to press that button in. Go ahead and push that and move it up. Okay, you can just sort of get that out of the way. All right, so once you've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to connect the white connection with the white one, and then the black one with the black one. But before you do that, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you find your grounding wire, which just looks like this. And we're going to need to ground this. With this loose, it's going to be a lot easier to get behind the panel. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to ground this, and then we're going to come back and we're going to connect these connections. Now, for lack of a better camera angle, I did just go ahead and disconnect more of these connections. If you are going to do that, what we like to do is we like to just take a picture, just so you know exactly where everything lines up. That screw you need to get to is right back there, if you could see it. So if you have a thumb driver or something, you should be able to get to it. So what you want to do is just go ahead and loosen it up. Then take your grounding wire and slip it on there. Then just use your thumb driver again. And just go ahead and tighten everything up. So here's what the screw looks like with the grounding wire completely attached. Okay, so now that we're back here, what you do is go ahead and take the black connection, go ahead and press that in, and then lock the little lever down. Okay, then take the other end, go ahead and press it into the spot where the original harness was. Just go ahead and push that down until it locks in. Okay. Then what you can do is do the same thing with the white connection. Now with this one, what I like to do is a little bit tighter. So I like to connect the bottom harness first. So connecting the new white connection to the original harness here. I like to kind of push this out of the way a little bit because we do have to get to this black harness down here, the black spot right there. So actually just go ahead and do it like this. This one's just a little bit tight, just because of the carpeting. But just go ahead and feel for it. It might take a second for you to line it up. But the good thing is with these nice levers, everything is guided into place, and then it locks in. So then what you want to do is just go ahead and push these over like that. Okay, so now what you want to do is, between the doors there's a connection right here. What you want to do is you want to grab this piece of plastic right here, this tab, and just lift it straight up. Because I'm going to be doing this one-handed, I already did that. So what you want to do is loosen one side and then go to the other side. And what you want to do is just, after you pull that all the way up, it's going to come off and it's going to look just like this. So then on the one on the other side, there's a tab. So you just press on the tab and you'll be able to press that right into the car. Okay, so to access that other tab, what you'll need to do is just go ahead and reach up in here. And then you'll be able to just lower it down. Okay, so once you've pulled that out, you're going to see a piece of blue plastic right here. And there's a little fastener right here and then on the other side. So what we need to do, these are the male pins, as you can see here. We need to just take a little pick tool and then just pop this over the clip on this side. And then we'll do the same with this side, just so we can just get this and slide it off. And what that's going to enable us the ability to do is to actually slide in pins. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the new connection, which the interior one is going to look like this. So you can see the different pins. What you want to do is, on the actual harnesses, you want to make sure that you line the pins up. So if you put a red pin at the top corner, you want to make sure that you have a red pin at the top corner. You want to make sure that all 4 wires are perfectly lined up. Okay, so I'm just going to look in here for some open spots, and what I'd like to do, this is the top. It looks like the entire, it looks like there's 4 open spots on the right. So all you want to do, so we'll start with this. We'll start with a white connection with a stripe. I'll do this down the bottom. You'll notice that the one side of the pin has a little channel and then a lock. The lock is going to go on the side here. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and get that. And then if you listen closer here, it snap in. So it clipped right in. Then I'm going to do the other white wire. Okay, then we'll do the black one. And then we'll do the orange one. Okay, so everything is nice and lined up. And the good thing too is you don't have to necessarily remember from here to here because you can just look at it. So everything is nice and lined up. Then what you want to do, this actually locks all of the pins in place. So go ahead and clip that back on. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and we're going to take the door panel off, so we're going to go ahead and remove this piece of wood trim. Underneath here, there's a little bit of a hole. BMW actually has a special tool that you can use to reach in here. There's a metal tab. What I like to do is try to press it out of the way as much as possible. I'll show you what that does in a second. So what you want to do is just take a trim tool, just go ahead and just very gently pry up in here. Just be very careful because there is a large clip on the bottom. Just go ahead and just very slowly, very carefully, you want to start to pry this away. Once I get to here, what I like to do is try to move this clip out of the way, and just go ahead and just continue to go up. And again, it's better to just go slow and use your hands. I'm just trying to keep an eye on the bottom clip here. Okay, there we go. So just go ahead. And here's what this piece looks like. So you can see here there's a large clip, and then down here there's a piece of metal. What you can try to do is, if you reach a tool up here, maybe a small screwdriver, sometimes you can push it over and then pull it out of the way. Otherwise, what's going to happen is this will just bend out. Just make sure that you don't break this clip off. BMW in their instruction manual actually says pretty much to just pull it, and then you can actually just press it back in. Alright, so once you've removed the wood trim, there's 2 T25 screws. So we'll start with the lower one here. Go ahead and remove that. And then just go ahead and remove the top one. Alright, so now what we want to do is we need to remove this switch. So what you need to do is you need to pop it from the front and then slide it up from the back, because in the back there's 2 pegs and in the front there's just a clip. So go ahead and take a trim tool. Just go ahead and just very gently work it in here. Okay, so just go ahead and lift up. Pull that out. Okay, so you can see in the front we have this tab, and in the back we have the 2 pins. Alright, so once you've done that, what you can do is you go ahead and just take a trim tool, and then just go ahead and just slide it in the side here, and then you'll be able to just go along and just release some of these fasteners. When you get to the top, on a lot of other cars you might want to lift it up. With the BMWs, you just want to pull it straight out. As you can see, there are these nice clips. And don't be worried about pulling the door straight out, because this switch will actually move with you. Alright, so once you've done that, you can go ahead and disconnect all of the different connections. Go ahead and slide that through. And then once you get to the door latch, all you need to do is just go ahead and lift up. And again, to make it go back down, all you need to do is just press it back in. So just make sure that the door handle is in. Then you can just take this piece and just slide it and press it in, and then everything will work correctly. So we'll go ahead and just gently place this out of the way. Okay, on the side of the door you're going to see this little black plug, so just remove that. And what you want to do is you want to take a 4mm Allen key, and then you're going to want to very carefully remove the Allen key. And it sits kind of catty corner. It's going to sit right up here. Now just be very careful, because you don't want that screw to actually fall into the car. So once you take the screw out, what you do is you just take this end piece, and you won't even need a trim tool or anything, it just slides right out. Alright, so here we see the factory handle. So what you want to do is go ahead, if you have the light, just pop it up, move it over, and then to get this handle out, you just slide it over. And you'll notice that if you don't have comfort access, there's no wires or anything. It's just the handle. And then when you look at the new handle, you can see that it has some additional wiring to it. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and take your new handle and make sure that you feed it in here. Now in the inside of this, there's a metal bracket that this needs to sit between. So if you have a pick tool, I like to use this 90-degree tool. What you want to do is kind of reach in, and then that'll lock behind it, and then you'll know it's in there because it'll pull it back in. Otherwise it won't pull it back in. Then what you can do is you can go ahead and plug this back in right there, and then we'll go on the other side and I'll show you how to wire it up. Okay, now what you want to do is just go ahead and just gently remove this foam. It has this black tar type stuff in it, but normally it's pretty good at coming up, and then it'll stick again once you go to re-stick it. So I would just try to move a good amount of this out of the way. Now you don't have to take yours completely off. I'm just going to take this all the way off just so you can see what I'm doing. Just be careful that that black sticky stuff doesn't stick on your seat, because it will leave a mark. Alright, now what you want to do is go ahead and take one of your extension cables. Go ahead and plug that in there. You always want to be very careful about where the window is, so you can either try to tuck this all the way back and make sure that it's going to clear the window, or what you can do is you can just go just directly behind. Just make sure that you go behind absolutely everything. And then what I am going to do is there's a support beam here. I already put a zip tie in here, so we're just going to tie it over to make sure that it's not going to hit anything and that it's not going to. And then what you can also do is, if you have any of your mounting tape handy, you can periodically place some of this on the door, and then that'll make sure that everything stays nice and tight. Okay, so that's all done. So now what we want to do is just make sure that this is over here, again, make sure it's out of the way of the window, and then we're going to go ahead and feed the pins in here, and then we're pretty much done. Alright, so once you have your wires to here, what you want to do is just go in here with a trim tool, and then you just want to loosen this big rubber harness right here. Okay, so this is what it looks like over here. Then what you want to do is take a trim tool and just very gently remove this rubber hose from up top there. Okay, so just make sure that that's off. Okay, then just take your wires here and just be very careful with these. Again, these are the female pins. And we'll just go ahead and route these through here. Alright, so once you've pulled this through, what you can do is just go ahead and just gently bend that wire in half, and then just slowly just feed that through. You can use some kind of wire feeder if you want to, but because you're not going very far, it's probably a lot faster if you don't use one. But if you want to just take your time and do it, that's fine too. Okay, so now we have our wires through here. So what you want to do is take your small trim tool, and then from the bottom, you just want to twist it up a little bit, and then what you're going to be able to do is just rock this pin out like that. Okay, so here you can see our connection again. What you need to do is just go ahead with a trim tool or a pick tool. You just need to release the tab on the side, and then also release this side, and then this piece right here will slide off once you're able to release those. Alright, so once you're here, it's very important that you take these and you feed them up the back of the harness. And just look at what you did before. So I did the white with the stripe at the bottom. And again, this doesn't matter exactly which location. You put them in as long as it's in the same location here and there. But you can grab any open spots. Alright, so looking at the other side, the first one I have is the white with the black stripe. So I'll go ahead and slide that in there, and then I had the white one. Then I had the black one. I had that last one there. So everything is good. You just double check to make sure that they're all in the correct locations, otherwise it's not going to work right. Okay, so then go ahead and just pull these wires down with this connection, you can just make sure that you put that black piece on right here, and this is again, this is what holds all of the wires in place. What you want to do is just make sure that you position this down so it slides back in. Sometimes you'll have a couple extra wires in the way just because you have a lot more wires in there right now. So everything right now is snapped into place. And what you can do is go ahead and just very carefully just remove some of this excess from this wire. And just go ahead and reinstall this rubber right here. Make sure everything is seated correctly because you don't want any moisture or anything in there. You just pull the excess back into the door. Again, just make sure that it's out of the way of the window. And you can reinstall the grommet on the side. Make sure that everything is seated properly. Now what you want to do is go ahead and take this connection and feed it back up. Make sure that you press the bottom down first. And then just press it forward. That's what that looks like. And take the connection with the new wires. And again, it's a little more difficult on the front. The back doors are a lot easier. Okay, we can just go ahead and push that tab up. Make sure that everything is properly seated. And then as you press it down, it's going to go back into place. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and run the antenna. So what we're going to do, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Some people mount it behind the bumper. I'm going to show you a little bit easier way. We're going to actually mount it basically in this area right here. So to do that, what you want to do is go ahead and take a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver, and there's just a plastic fastener here, so if you start to unthread it, you just pop it up. It's going to look like this. It's just very, very easy to pop out, so just go ahead and take that out. Then what you want to do, just go ahead and lift up on this piece of plastic. So now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and remove these two 10mm nuts. So then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and just get a good hold and just pull it straight out. There's just a plastic knob in the back that's going to go into a rubber grommet, and that's really what's holding it in place. Once you've done that, you can just go ahead and just let it hang. Just be careful if it's leaning against your car. You might want to get some kind of towel and put it under it just so nothing scratches. But the light's not terribly heavy, so you shouldn't really have to worry too much about this cord, especially since it's secured down here as well. So now what you want to do is go ahead and first you want to make sure that you really clean the area really good. You want to make sure that there's no dirt and debris in here, because you want to make sure that everything's going to stick and stay mounted. So once you've gone ahead and cleaned that, what you want to do is go ahead and pick your favorite mounting tape. We're going to use some 3M for this. You just put some mounting tape on both sides. Okay, so once you've done that, what I like to do is I like to mount it so that the cord side is down, so that if there is ever any water to get in here, you don't want anything getting inside here. It's pretty well sealed, but you always want to just be as careful as you can. So just go ahead, slide that down as far as you can, and then just press it against the side. Just give it some pressure and a couple seconds to set. And then that should be nice and out of the way. As long as you make sure that it's below this line, you should be okay. The bumper, as you know, is just a plastic, so there's no metal interference, and then it's nice and out of the way when we put the taillight back in. Alright, so for this next part, what we need to do is we need to get the rest of the wire from the outside of the car to the inside of the car. So what you want to do is you want to take a wire feeder, and then right here there's a slit, and what you want to do is you want to go ahead and feed your wire down. What that's going to enable us to do is we're going to be able to grab it through this air vent, and then we can safely feed our wire through. So what you want to do is just go ahead, just take a light, just pretty much go straight down. And then what you'll be able to do is just reach your hand in one of these vents, and you'll be able to feel your wire. Then very carefully just guide it through. And you can see that I have the wire going from the outside to the inside through that air vent. Now the easiest way to get your wire through this hole right here, you don't want to just go ahead and tape this to the end, because this is kind of thick and it's hard to guide around this pretty sharp turn we have to go through. So what you want to do is leave yourself a little bit of slack, and then just go ahead and tape your wire here to your wire feeder. And this is going to be a lot more flexible. It's going to be a lot easier to work with. And just go ahead and pull this through the vent. Just be careful with it. I always fold the tape over on the end, so it's easier to get back off. And so then just go ahead and guide the white connection through. You're just going to have to feel. It's a really tight fit, but doing it this way is by far the easiest way to do it, and you also save a lot of time by not having to take the bumper completely off. Now if you're having a lot of trouble, as you'll see, it's a pretty tight squeeze you have to get it through. You could take either a trim tool if you have something like this, or even just a longer screwdriver, and then you can stick it in here and separate where it has to go, and that'll make it a lot easier to get through. So there you can see that piece. And it's hard to see on the camera, I can't really light up this area enough. But basically there's, where this piece of plastic goes in, there's a little tiny overlap. So when you feed the hanger in, it's easy to get it in that small gap. And then what you need a screwdriver or something for is to pry apart right here just enough so you can get that through. And then it'll go back and close up pretty tight. So once you get this through here, what you want to do is just go ahead and feed the rest of your wire through. Just make sure that it's not tangled up. Okay, so now what you can do is you can take your tail light, just go ahead and pop it back in. So just line up these two holes, push the front in, and go ahead and reinstall those nuts. Alright, so if you've installed a rear view camera, it's going to be basically the same process to get this wire to the front of the car. So what you can do is you can go ahead and just lift up over here, slowly guide your carpet around. There's a fastener right up here, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get some kind of trim tool and remove that. And basically what it is, there's just a plastic centerpiece. You pull the centerpiece out and then the entire thing comes out. So I've just gone ahead to save time and I've already done that one. Then what you want to do is just go ahead and bend this down so that you can clear the seat release. And then this piece will fold down. Now you don't have to press it down as far as I'm folding mine down. I'm just trying to get you a good visual as to what's going on here. Okay, so go ahead and take your wire, and then what you want to do is just go ahead and take a zip tie and make sure that you secure it along the way. Okay. Okay, then you can continue to feed this wire up here. And then we'll go up to the back seat and I'll show you how to remove the seat and then make it so you can feed the wire completely up. Alright, so once you are at this point, what you can do is just go ahead and just reach your hand into the side here. And just pull up and just guide this up. There's just two hooks at the bottom and then there's a plastic fastener that sits at the top here. And then as long as you fed your wire through over the top, you can just go ahead and grab it. You won't even need any wire feeding tools or anything. Just go ahead and just very carefully pull this all the way through.
Once you pull the extension cable through, what you can do is reach your hand under the seat and firmly pull up to release the clip. Under the seat, you'll find a small black plastic fastener. Simply remove the center of the fastener and pull up on the trim to remove it. Keep feeding this wire up along the trim to the passenger footwell. At this time, we're going to transition to the other side of the vehicle, where we're going to show you how to run the cable from the furthest door to the control module.
Alright, so now what you want to do is go ahead and remove the door panel exactly as you did on the other side. Again, just remove that window switch. Even when you're doing it in the front, the switch panel is just bigger. Always pry from the front to the back, because the front will have a clip which is much easier to work with, and the back will typically have pegs. Now in the back seat of the car, it doesn't really matter so much, but it's always a good habit to start from the front and then lift it up from the back. Alright, so now what you want to do is go ahead just like the other side, and then you want to pull this piece of plastic off and then take a 4mm Allen key. Just go ahead and untwist this bolt here. And then once you have it fully untwisted, this piece right here will literally just slide right out. Then just like we did on the last time, you want to just kind of lift this light up, move it out of the way, pull the handle towards you, and out. And you can see again, this doesn't have comfort access. Alright, so now what you want to do is go ahead and grab your BimmerTech handle, get the end with the wire, and you're going to slide it in the front. What you need to do, just like we did on the other side, when you look in here, there is a metal bracket that actually grabs the handle. So it basically looks like this, and what you need to do is you just take the handle, you slide it in, and then it locks it in place and controls the latch of the door. What happens is it's spring loaded, so when you take the handle out, it wants to curl to where you can't just pop it in place. So what you need to do is you need to take a trim tool, not a trim tool, a pick tool. I like to use this 90-degree tool. You need to basically grab the piece of metal, pull it out, slide your handle in, and then let it latch back in place. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, just put this end in here. Just very carefully. And it might slip off a couple times for you. Don't be surprised if it doesn't go in that easy the first time. And then what you want to do is just make sure that everything works. I'm just trying to be careful so it doesn't pop back out. But make sure that it's fully installed. Make sure you push it all the way up. And then at this point, what you can even do, just to make sure that it's not going to pop out, is you can grab that end piece. Make sure that your light is in place. And what you can do is go ahead and just secure that, and then you can hear the latch operating normally. So that way everything is nice and installed and everything is working good, and you don't have to worry about this handle popping out of there, because we can have full access to the wire that we need on the other side. So while I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and tighten that 4mm Allen key back up. Okay, so just like we did on the other side, you want to take the wiring with the white connection. You want to just reach up to where your handle is inserted into the car. Feel for that plug. Just go ahead and plug it in. And then again, there's a support beam in the back here. So what you can do is you can go ahead and secure it to that. Then you're just going to route the wiring through the door. Again, once you get to here, there's just that plastic harness. So what you want to do is just lift up that metal piece, and then what you can do is you rock it off, set the pins, make sure that on the other side that the pins are lining up. So if you have a white wire, you want to make sure that on the other side there's a white wire, and same if there's a black wire, you want to make sure that there's a black wire as well. And then what you want to do for the back ones, you want to make sure that you use the ones with the black plugs, where the front doors were the ones with the red plugs. And then just like the other side, you want to just go ahead and carefully release this grommet. Go ahead, feed the wires through. Again, just twist up. And then rock it forward. And then you want to go ahead and make sure that you locate some empty pins. And then we're going to go ahead and find the other pins on the other side of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and wire this up. Alright, so just like on the front, what you want to do is just go ahead and feed the wires in through the rubber tubing, and then up the back. Go ahead and slide off the cover, and this is going to show you where the bulk of the pins are. So on mine, the bulk of the pins are on the towards the back of the car. You can see that this whole side is practically open. So that's great, because what we could do is we could just take all those wires
and feed them in there. So just like the other side, remember, just go ahead and just very carefully just slide them in, and they will click into place. Just make sure that the groove lines up with the slot. Okay, so once you have all of the pins in place, you can go ahead and take this piece here, just go ahead and slide it back on, and that will make sure that everything is locked in place. Alright, so once you've set those pins, you can go ahead and just pull the slack back out. Go ahead and pull this rubber back. Just be very careful that you don't pinch anything. Okay, so then just go ahead and I wouldn't put this in all the way at this point, and the reason is because I like to compare where the pins are in here and then where the pins are going to be in here. But what you can do is you can go ahead and take out the rest of this slack. And you can even reinstall the side grommet here. Alright, so that's all set. And then what we can do is we need to just go ahead and remove this piece of trim here. To do that, what you're going to need to do is you need to go ahead and you need to get behind this piece of trim. So just go ahead and grab your seat in the middle here and just lift up, and that'll pop up. And then right under here, you're going to find a fastener. Now I've already gone ahead and removed it, so this is what it looks like here. You'll see that there is a center part here, and what you need to do is you need to go ahead and just pull the center piece out, and then you can remove the rest of the fastener. So once you do that, you can go ahead and just release the rest of these clips. Now some of the clips will remain in the trim, and then some will remain in the car. So the ones that remain in the car, what you do is you just go back with pliers. You can go ahead and pop that up. So now what we need to do is we need to go ahead to the front of the car, pop off a piece of trim, and then we can come back and take that middle section off. Alright, so before we can remove this middle piece here, what you need to do, just go ahead and remove this piece of trim here. Again, most of these fasteners are going to be stuck in the vehicle, but that's okay. You can just go back with pliers. Once you're here, there's a pin here, and then over on this side. So just go ahead and then just carefully pop this pin. Then we'll go back to the other side. Okay, so then what you can do is you can go on this side. Just reach your hand under the trim. Just go ahead and pop that up. And this piece slides down. You'll see that there's a little tab on the top. So when you go to reinstall it, you just place it here and then slide it back up, and it'll go right into place. Just go ahead and set that on out of the way there. Then what you want to do, just like the other side, is this part of the fastener or the harness has a little clip on the top. So what you want to do is just press that top little button down, and then you'll see your harness. So again, you just have to remove this blue piece of plastic. And then the reason I mentioned to leave this loose for now is because you want to compare the colors. You want to make sure that everything is lining up correctly. So we're going to go ahead and take our other wire. Let's go ahead and unwrap that. And these are the male pins. Now always just be very careful as you're doing this part. Make sure that you double and triple check yourself. So white with a stripe, and white. Okay. in black. And the last one here. Again, make sure everything clicks into place. Then again, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and press the bottom in, back into the door, then rock it forward, and this clip will lock everything into place. Okay, then you can go ahead and press this back in here. Make sure everything locks into place. Pull this plastic tab up, and then what we could do is we can go ahead and reconnect everything and then press the tab to secure it in place.
Okay, so once you've finished inserting the pins from both sides and you've reconnected everything, what I like to do is I don't put the door panel back on right away because I want to test it and make sure everything works correctly before we actually fully assemble everything. So what you want to do is just go ahead and take this wire and then just put it under the carpet here. Okay. And then once you get to this part, what we're going to do, the easiest way to do this, now there's two ways you can do it. You could either pull down, use a 10mm socket, remove the two 10mm nuts, then go ahead and pull this down and then do the same on the other side. And then you can fish it behind your head unit. There's another way that you can do it. If you pull your weather stripping off, I'm just going to pull it like that. So give this a vacuum tool. What I'm going to actually show you how to do is once you get to this part, you'll actually run it up here where the weather stripping is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the wire up here, feed it through here with a wire feeder, or you can even use something like a coat hanger. You don't need any specific tools or anything like that. Then we're going to remove the center piece of trim, which pops off. It's just a few clips, very easy to pop off. Then we're going to pop off the end cap, just like this on the other side. And then so we'll feed a wire through, we'll pull the wire through, and then we will feed another wire feeder through the other side, and we'll pull it through so it goes all the way across the dash. Then we can run it straight down and plug it right in. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just remove this trim piece. So just go ahead and just gently pry up, and then pry up here. And then just, there's a pin here about here, and there's a pin about here. Just go ahead and release those. You can just wiggle this out. Okay. And then you can just very gently just let this sit just like that for a second. So once you have the trim removed, what you want to do is just have some kind of wire to use to be able to feed the wire through. As you can see, I'm just doing this in my garage. You can do it with basic tools just like I am. This is just a hanger from the dry cleaner. So just feed it behind the cluster, just like this. And then what you want to do is just go on the other side. And you should be able to see roughly where it is. Alright, so here you can see the end of my hanger. Just make sure that you're able to grab the other end. Make sure you straighten out your wire. And then what I like to do is just go ahead and feed it through. And I found that if you use some kind of painter's tape, it's a lot easier to get back off. You can use electrical tape, you can use zip ties, whatever you want. But the painter's tape, it rips easy, so it's very good for just a very temporary solution. So once you have that, what you want to do is just very carefully, very slowly. Alright. And what you want to do is just go ahead, just pull the majority of the wire through. Then go along to the other side and remove this if you don't already have it off. Again, pop off that side panel right here. Then what you can do is just take your wire. Just want to straighten this out a little bit. And just thread it through. with that, you'll be able to pull it all the way through. You can just go ahead and remove your painter's tape at this time. Now it's very important to note that whenever you're feeding wires through this compartment, you always want to make sure that everything is fed behind. So I'm just going to show you how to kind of do this with one hand. And the reason is because that other plastic trim piece will not go on right if you don't have this correctly set up. Okay. So here you can see everything is behind. So when we go to reinstall this piece, nothing is in the way and everything lines up correctly. So just go ahead and continue to route this wire down here, and then we're ready to connect everything up. So with the BimmerTech Comfort Access system, you'll see this control module. Inside this control module, there are some dip switch settings, and what you can do is you can actually configure the system to do some different things. So we'll go through that in just a second. So to get to the dip switch settings, what you want to do is just go ahead and, I like to use a pick tool over a trim tool here. Just go ahead and gently pry up. You can go to the back. Just pry up here, pry up here. Okay, and you can slide this piece of plastic off here. So I'm just going to set this aside. That way, what you want to do is just go ahead and grab this white connection here and slide it out. And then right here you can see all the dip switch settings. So you can see that if you press them up, they're on, or if you press them down, they're off. So here's a list that tells you what all of the dip switch settings do. Once you've customized your dip settings, what you want to do is just slide this back. There's a little groove. Press that back into place. Then take that little piece of plastic that we took off. Make sure that everything is lined up correctly. And then that'll just snap back on and you're ready to go. Alright, so at this point we have 3 connections coming down here. The one that's braided is the connection that we made overhead, and then you have a black and a red that we installed today. The red is for the front door and the black is for the rear. So what you want to do is go ahead and take this harness here, line up your clips and make the black to the black and the red to the red. Then what you want to do is you want to take your antenna wire right here, which is the translucent white. Go ahead and connect that there. And take your connections. They only go in one way, so this is for the main harnesses. And then here's your other connection here. And then you do the exact same with the other 2 doors. And then once you've done that, everything is completely installed. We showed you how to change your dip settings, so that will enable you to customize your system even further than that. So what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and mount the system. So to do that, what we're going to do is going to go ahead and place some double-sided adhesive on the back of the actual unit. Go ahead and peel the backing off. Okay, and then what you want to do is just go ahead and very carefully navigate this up here. And just go ahead and press it to the side for a couple seconds and let that adhesive grab. Then if you haven't done so already, you can go ahead and press your wires into this area here. Replace this side trim. And just go ahead and press the weather stripping back into place. Alright, so now what you can do is you can go ahead and take that really long T20 screw. You can just go ahead and feed it through. You can pull it out a little bit.
kind of see how everything is lining up. Then once you have everything lined up where it needs to go, just go ahead and just very carefully screw that back in. You can see over here, we've already gone through and just zip tied the wires. These are nice because what you can do, there's a gap right in here. So you can go ahead and just feed these up here. And then the trim will keep them in place so they won't go anywhere. Now, when we originally took this off, there was another piece of plastic that sat over here. Now, because of all the extra connections, sometimes it doesn't fit, but that's okay because what we can do is everything now is nice and secure. We can just go ahead and put that other piece of trim down. Okay, so now what you can do is just go ahead and reinstall the lower trim. Just go ahead and line up the different holes.
Just don't forget to reinstall the end part here. So what you want to do again, just make sure that everything is lined up. Then once you've installed the cap again, what you can do is just go ahead and just reinstall that screw with the Allen key and then place the rubber grommet back in place. Alright, so at this point everything is completely installed. One of the nice things that I really like about the system is that on the 3 Series, not only can you install it in the front, but you can also install it in the back as well, which isn't available from the factory. And again, the dip switch settings, you can go through and switch everything. Altogether, expect, if you haven't done it before, maybe about an hour per door. So it's really not that bad. Everything is 100% plug and play. All of the door panels pop off the exact same way. If you have done car audio before, it's going to be very similar, and you could probably get done much faster than 4 hours. But other than that, everything is pretty straightforward. It's very simple. You can see you can do it in your own home with basic tools. One of my favorite tools to use is a hanger. So just showing you that it's very easy, very doable. And if you follow this guide, it should be very straightforward for you. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, let us know, and we'd be happy to help. Have a great day.